So, I mean, the type of architecture we are producing is related to the type of company we are. And DPG is a little bit different company to let's say, the local one. Not at all in terms of quality, but in terms of identity. Indeed, we are one of the very few foreign architecture firm established in Korea, and I have tried to maintain his office by cultural approach, by mixing up my inherited culture coming from France, from Europe, with the local culture that I have tried to learn and that I share with my colleague in this office. So this gives us a color, an identity which is different to the other one. And I think that's why the architecture we are producing, which is a mixed up of these two cultures, is some way different. And that's why probably it has a strong identity, and depending the project, depending the client, the level of mixing can be different, can be more on the Korean side, can be more on the European side, and that's why all our projects are a little bit different. And thanks to this approach, we, let's say, what we can call identity designer, it's enable us to design whatever we want, because what matters is not the category of the design, but the identity we can provide to this design. And this approach can be true for a building, for an interior space, for a bridge, for furniture. And what we try to achieve by giving this identity is to give meaning to our daily life, to give sense to our daily life, by reflecting the society we are living in through this strong identity. I think for us the best is when we meet a client which do not have any preconceived idea and who is looking for something different. It can be for various reasons, but for example, I have a good example which come in mind. It's when we have worked with Demian Group. It was, I guess, for everybody, a good combination. Why? Because obviously when you design a resort, you're looking for something different, because it should be different than a regular building in a city, because it's a destination. So when you build a destination, you have to build a story. You have to find a theme. It's like traveling abroad or visiting a new country. You are expecting something different. So you have to invent a new world. And that's why for us, thanks to this approach of always looking for genuine identity to our project, it was a good opportunity to develop something which was really different than what has been done before, and I think Sono Felice in a certain way it's a kind of milestone in terms of resort in Korea, because first it was a VIP resort, so in terms of quality it was a little bit different. But in terms of design approach, it was not only a condominium. We wanted to be something more. It was not just a facility, and from where you visit the mountain, or you go hiking, or you go skiing, golfing, whatever. It's a place where you can stay for a while because you want to visit it, because it's a kind of a small world itself, and this is really what I have appreciated in this project. The strength of our firm, as I mentioned, is we are a multi-design firm. So that is to say, in this office we have we can do interior design, we can do architecture, we can do engineering as well, and that's why many times we have worked for very high-end projects, especially in the retail field. And of course, it's because they are very demanding projects where you need many different kind of background. For example, if you see some of the projects we did for the retail industry, you need a strong background in architecture, but you need as well a very strong background in interior. And it's difficult to find people who have both good background for things different. And of course, with those projects, we have usually the means and as well the budget, the possibility to develop very deeply all the detail. And that's why those projects in terms of quality are exceptional. But thanks to that, and thanks to this know we acquire through this project, we can revert them to more regular project and give benefit of this experience to some more regular client or more regular project. But I think it's part of the added value we can give to a project and to a client. As I mentioned, identity is very important in our production, and I do believe that the facade is the expression of the project meaning. So it's like starting from the inside, and this side is projected outside, like a communication, like a media. And I think it's very important. I mentioned really the 20th century, the modernism, so-called international modernism, where suddenly you have seen everywhere around the world the same building, the same curtain wall, glass facade, box type, etc. We have seen everywhere. I never learned as copy itself. And I think when you see the history, there has been many styles in architecture, many obstructive facades, as you can say, which were reflecting the era in which they have been produced, and the facades are telling us a message. It's an invitation to enter, invitation to experiment the building. So that's why I always try to, through the facade, to send an invitation to people to visit it and to go in, so to attract them. So I think it's like a bait to drive people. So it's so for me it's a very important element. As I mentioned, usually our clients are looking for something different. So they think their building will be different and there's something special in. So that's why they are quite satisfied when we provide a facade with a strong identity which is telling something to people, giving desire to enter in this building. Yeah, desire. Desire is something important in building. It was the lost cause of the end of the 20th century. There was not so much desire. There was this industrial approach of building and architecture. I think now it's changing. I think the desire is a little bit back. Okay, so those sketches are produced by myself, and they are produced usually at the real beginning of the project. And for some time, I'm a good sketcher. So sometimes at the beginning, I really forbid myself to sketch because I don't want the hand drive the mind. So I try first to really understand all the components around the project and try to have an intellectual approach of the project. And at some point, I am ready, and those sketches I do usually very quickly because they are suddenly, they are narrowing all my thinking and express in one concept all the rest. And sometimes, so that's why these sketches are not so descriptive, they are more abstract, but they are extremely meaningful. They are really, and they will remain, they are explaining a concept. And with one small sketch, it represents all the elements that I have described at the beginning, which turn around the project. It's one answer, that could be other. And after those projects, those sketches will remain through all the design process. They are the guardian of the design. That is to say, at some point, when we develop, we might lose the track, but we always look like at those sketches to see if we are still in line with the original idea for this project. So as I mentioned, the most important quality is to be curious. You should have interest in everything, because I mentioned at the beginning of this interview that you have to identify all the components of a project, whether it's material or unmaterial. So I do believe in a border architecture as a field, as a borderless. I don't believe architecture itself as a science really exists. It exists through other disciplines, and you can build architecture only by importing elements from other disciplines. And that's why you have to be so curious. If you take architecture, for example, there's a lot of elements coming. I mentioned music, for example, but I could mention the cinema, I could mention the video, I could mention the science, mathematics, whatever. And all this is a source of inspiration. And if you are not curious, you will never get this source of inspiration. So that's my recommendation. Whatever people like. Some people say, okay, architect should be very much engineer. Some people say very much artistic. I don't believe. I know very good architecture who are fond of literature, and they found their inspiration in literature because they are able to import something from literature into architecture. And I think that's the true definition of a good architect. And it can be even different from one project to the other one. So be curious.